Alright, I've been organizing a lot of challenge mode convergences, and despite never asking for experience or any form of killproof, have consistently been getting gold in all of them lately. Even Umbriel, by only making a few changes to the more widely adopted strategies. These changes sometimes lead to questions, or worse, people actively campaigning to stop following our calls and do whatever they think is best. So it's about time I share why we do what we do. I say we because there are quite a few regulars from our community who consistently join and help manage the squad or help with some other aspects of the fight. So a massive shout out to all of you legends. Every successful squad starts with some organization. We usually aim for 30 DPS, 10 quick DPS and 10 alacrity healers. Although lately we've been replacing 2 of the healers with alacrity DPS players, leading to faster victories. You could pick any other boon support combo, but limiting the roles usually means faster management. When the convergence finally gets underway, a few waves of cryptids will spawn on the middle islands and catapults to the sides. Usually 3 or 4 players break off from the group by themselves to deal with the latter. The rest in the middle should actively hunt down cryptids and collect their essences. These can either be used to heal Zojja before the island phase starts, or even kept for a small DPS boost at the cost of some of your maximum HP. When the players on the sides kill their 3rd catapult, call them back to the middle, as the first 3 champions are about to spawn at that point. Split your whole squad in 3 by sending 3 subs to each champion and the final group to whichever you think will take the longest. Next is the island phase, and this is where things might get controversial. From this point onwards, everyone should ignore catapults and instead only focus on the lieutenants and the general. Zojja will be fine, and every second not spent on catapults is more time spent on bosses, and thus the island being cleared much quicker. If you go for the catapults, they'll respawn after a short while anyway, usually leading to spending anywhere from half a minute to a minute longer clearing the full island, which is time that could be spent on the final boss instead and time left over when you're done. This does mean that the 2 groups staying behind to defend Zojja will have to work harder. Healers can drop some healing fields on Zojja, as she still gets healed by those in this phase. But the most important thing is to intercept the spites, which are the cryptids with the red sword icon, before they can get anywhere near Zojja and explode. All 10 of those players are also responsible for collecting as many essences as possible to heal her. This strategy means that Zojja won't be anywhere near 100% HP. That's fine, usually she still hovers around 40% and the first island is usually cleared with 23 minutes left on the clock. At that time, those players should come back to the middle and heal Zojja, which should get her back to 60 to 80% HP. Now here comes the next controversial part. Those players should not be chilling on the middle island. These are often your highest DPS players, so instead send them to the next island. I know the prevalent strategy is to not do this to avoid scaling the other island's boss HP. But think about it. You'll have your most efficient squad sit in the middle doing absolutely nothing, while slower squads might still have 1, 2 or sometimes even 3 bosses left. So instead, use your top performers and send them over to the next island. These 2 changes have consistently helped us start the final showdown with 22 to 22.5 minutes left on the timer instead of only 20. And since you need to be done with 10 minutes left over for gold, that means you get 20 to 25% extra time for the final showdown. This extra time will almost guarantee being able to play safe on bosses such as Hell Sister and is the difference between gold and silver on Umbriel. Now for the final bosses, there are a few things you can ask your squad to bring. Demon Knight benefits from stability and stun breaks, but I usually don't ask for either. Instead, I make sure we get the previous parts right, as I usually run all 5 convergences in a row and Demon Knight is often gold anyway. For Dreadwing and Sorrow, I only ask to bring extra CC. Both of them have frequent break bars, and every time you break them, all 50 of your squad will deal extra damage, without any other mechanics happening at the same time even. For Hell Sister, you'll want extra stability, as those red lines on the ground continuously spawn spikes that knock everyone back. When the fight starts, I also warn players to not look at her when she has an eye above her. Since we have 2 minutes on average extra, this means we can play it extremely safe. The eye mechanic is also the perfect time for DPS players who still have essences to run over to Zojja and heal her. Lastly, for Umbriel, you'll want as many condition cleanses as you can fit in. Every time someone gets hit by a spinning axe, they get rooted inside the AoE. Spamming condition cleanses means they can dodge out, reducing the chances of them going into a down state. Like Hell Sister, Umbriel also has the eye mechanic, which most of the squad should know by then. I do actively warn players between phases about the upcoming orange circles with Roman numerals, and I tell them to run out as soon as they see them, even if they have to stop DPSing. Usually about 10 to 20% of the squad will go into downstates on the first round, but those numbers tend to go down for the next ones. Downstates are what will kill any run, by the way, as you will lose all of the essences you're currently hanging onto, meaning you can't use them to keep Zojja alive anymore. When too many people keep going down, it usually snowballs into Zojja dying. Thanks to our faster island phase, I tell everyone to heal Zojja when bosses like Hell Sister or Umbriel hit their last 10%, practically guaranteeing a victory. This call needs to be followed by everyone. We've had people ignore it before, leading us to fail Umbriel at 1% despite having about a minute left on the clock. Now you, as an individual player, also have the ability to impact the whole squad, not just your subgroup. I already mentioned the break bars on Dreadwing and Sorrow, but there are other things you can bring. Scourges are probably the most popular example due to their ability to pull in downstate players and bring them back to life. Scrappers, warriors and rangers can also bring such abilities without even needing to be the healer. All of our most successful runs also featured Mesmers bringing portals and Scourges bringing sand portal. They can put those down near Zojja and the boss, effectively cutting down other players' time spent running between them when they want to drop off their essences. There are a ton of other useful utilities, so if you join one of my runs, feel free to experiment and bring whatever you think might benefit the group the most. If you'd like to be part of one of my runs, come check me out on Twitch, where I go live nearly every single day. I also advertise the squads on the LFG, but when the initial squad is set up, there's usually only a couple of players who leave between bosses. I want to ask one more thing of you, and that's hitting those like and subscribe buttons. I know it's annoying, but those help me and my channel out tremendously.